We locked in. We locked in.
We locked in.
We
We
locked
locked
in,
in.
B. We locked in.
Peace to everybody out there. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, Mikey B and KK. We have here special guest, Joe Williams. What's going on, Joe? How you doing?
Peace, Kings. I'm great, man. How y'all? Appreciate
Everything,
the opportunity.
Peace, bro. Peace.
Everything is great. Peace, my brother. So, first of all, let me just say to everybody that's tuned in, man, we appreciate everybody's support out there. Our numbers have been looking great, but our numbers would not be where they are without the support of the community, man. So for our family, our friends, and those individuals who we don't know, we truly appreciate your support. If this is your first time tuning in, please, man, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Hit that like button. And also hit that notification bell so that every time we go live, you'll get the notification that we're going live. Share with your loved ones, man, your friends, because we do believe that the message that we're talking about on We Locked In is very relevant. It's something that needs to be discussed. We have a lot of issues that we need to address in terms of the Black community, our experience in particular. But just in general, there are a plethora of issues that we obviously need to discuss. So please share with your loved ones. But today we're going to have a very interesting conversation. As I just introduced our guest, Mr. Joe Williams, I'm going to read his bio so I can give you guys some backdrop as to who we have on our show. We like to call credible individuals on our show, individuals who have the expertise, the knowledge to be able to speak authoritatively on issues that are pertinent to us all. So
Facts.
just bear with me for a minute. Well, it says Joseph Williams is a formerly incarcerated licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, life chess coach, and social emotional strategist. Joe grew up in the East New York section of Brooklyn. He received his bachelor's from Bard College's Bard Prison Initiative in 2013 while incarcerated. And shortly after release, he received his master's of social work from Columbia University. Joe is currently pursuing his doctorate of social work and is scheduled to obtain this in 2025. He's currently studying at NYU with over a decade of experience providing trauma-informed therapy, counseling, and success mentoring to individuals, families, youth, and adolescents from all walks of life. Joe honed his therapeutic approach and clinical skills working in various settings that includes Brooklyn Defender Services, DeVita and Freshnicious Dialysis System, various NYC DOE public high schools, Mount Sinai Hospital System's mobile crisis team, and in psychiatric emergency departments. Joe has contracted with BPI's, in this case, Bard Prison Initiative's reentry program to provide mental health consulting services and is establishing his private therapy practice to address the mental health care needs of those within BIPOC communities impacted by trauma. Joe is the first formerly incarcerated member on the board of trustees at Cases. And in February 2020, he received a congressional recognition for community leadership. Joe is a Beyond the Bars Fellow, which he received in 2015, and a Toe Foundation Public Health Fellow, which he acquired in 2019. He was the keynote speaker at Columbia University's Black Caucus graduation in 2015 and has presided over multiple professional social work panels and conferences for the NASW Bold Talk, the NAMI, and the NYC DOC Probation, and the NYSDOCCS Parole Departments, and the New York District Attorney's Office, and various other speaking engagements centered on mental health, the criminal justice system, higher education in prison, community trauma impacts, and social emotional strategies. Wow. My brother, Mr. Joe Williams. I know there is a lot that we need to talk about in terms about.
I feel like I need to clap. I feel like you need a round of applause for that
brother.
thing.
Listen, man, let's give it up to our brother Joseph Williams, man. I'm gonna pass the mic to you. I mean, we're gonna obviously have a series of questions for you, which you know already. But I just want to, on behalf of KK and myself, those of us that we locked in, we appreciate, my brother, you not allowing yourself to be that stigma, and you keep pushing that needle further, man. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, my brother. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that, Kings. So first, I want to thank y'all for this platform. I want to thank everybody who's in the audience, who's tuned in, that we locked in. Your presence is a present, and hope that after your time invested with us, you walk away with something here. I only been home 8 years, King. 8 years after doing 15 in total. I did 4 in Jersey. I didn't include everything in there, but I did 4 in Jersey. I did 11 in New York, and I've been home for the last 8 years. And the things that I've been building towards is my social obligation. You know what I mean? Like, I took a lot, and in me taking a lot, I feel like it's my obligation to give back. And how do I give back? I give back by being a conduit of peace and healing to my brothers and sisters, because I get it. At the end of the day, I get it. Today was one of the days. Today was one of my high school days. So I'm work for a CBO, community-based organization, Common Point, Queens, and I'm placed in Martin Van Buren High School, where I run the My Brother's Keeper program. And so I'm in the high school all day on Mondays and Thursdays, and I was telling my students, like, this is why I get into this work. I get into this work so I can help you all make the decisions, make a series of decisions, recognize the consequences of your decisions, good consequences, not so good consequences, so you can have better life outcomes. And I realized that it's nothing special about me. You know what I mean? Like, we did time, we came home with a certain series of decisions to put us in these positions that we in now, where we can give back to our people, where we can give back to our community, because we took so much. I know for me, I like to keep it on the eye. You know what I mean? Like, I took a lot. And now this is the forum in which I want to give back. I want to be a conduit of peace and healing. And when you read, when I hear you reading my bio, I'm like, wow, I did a lot. And that's only been 8 years. So I like to say, in the words of the old Jack Nicholson, wait till they get a load of me.
Yo, I'm impressed, man, and we're just happy. And something that Mikey B and I spoke about earlier, we tried to get KK on, but he had got off the Facebook the FaceTime with us, was that we just kept harping on the formerly incarcerated part. And you and I, we all know of like-minded individuals who will never have the opportunity to be able to get the second chances that are essential for them to be able to prove that they could be just, if not better than who we are. I don't want to speak solely on the incarceration piece, because we're here to talk about trauma. And I know you are someone who is qualified to speak in that area. It's so many different things going on with us as a community. Why is it that you chose to get in this particular field as a social worker to address the issue of trauma? What is this thing about trauma that feels you have to speak about it?
Good question, Mo. When I came home from prison, before I came home from prison, I was saying to myself, I'm a 2-time violent felon. I don't want to come back to prison. And what was the feel while I was up north and while I was completing my bachelor's at Eastern? I'm contemplating my next series of chess moves. What am I going to come home and do? What is it that I'm going to do that's going to be credible, be authentic, be meaningful, and that can help me get to the bag at the same time. And out of different fields of employment, it was something about this thing of social work, social work, social work. And as I remember growing up, I remember in and out of Spofford. I remember in and out of family court downtown Brooklyn. Like I remember going to criminal court the first time, and then the first time in Supreme Court. And I remember being a participant in cases in '94 and having counselors and social workers, and remembering nobody really looked like me. Nobody could talk the way I understood it. When I think about the school system, I got kicked out of Jeff. I had to get my GED, and nobody really looked like me. They didn't get me. They didn't get my people. So as I thought about what profession, it was something about the profession of social work that kind of sparked something in me. If I could be to others what I didn't have, how could I help them inform or make informed decisions that'll help their lives? And so after I came home from prison, I applied to Columbia, and I went to Columbia, and I got my master's. And as a student, once you graduate from Columbia, one of the things that they tell you as a social worker, you should have a therapist. And that moment, it sparked something in me. As a social worker, I'm encouraged to have a therapist. But as I think about my prison, my release stipulations, abide by curfew, no congregating with known felons, no drugs and alcohol. Never once did it say address the traumas of crime and punishment, that whole paradigm of crime and punishment. I just did over a decade in prison. I've been away from my family, away from the opposite sex. And it's this idea, you just come home and just automatically fit right in and just pick up the pieces. But never does it address or tell you to address the traumas of crime and punishment. And when I say crime and punishment, me committing my crimes were traumatic in and of itself. The ensuing police chase and getting arrested, trauma. Standing in front of a judge where there's a triangular conversation between either the public defender, typically what we have, because many of us couldn't afford paid lawyers, but for those that could afford paid lawyers, your attorney, the district attorney, the judge, it's a triangular conversation that you have no part of. You like, and then there's remand. That's trauma. First time going to the island, first time going to Spofford. And I ain't even talking about the violence that we see or have been a victim of or dished out in prison. I'm talking about the trauma of losing loved ones. I'm talking about the trauma of not being able to be there for your kids. I'm talking about the trauma of your significant other saying, I'm out. I see you on the other side. I ain't signing up for this. Trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. And then you come home, it's this idea, fit right in, pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And so this is what really sparked me on this the community trauma, or not even community, because we ain't even get to that, but this is what kind of focused me on trauma work.
Okay, you want to ask him a question?
Yeah, I'll just think about how just how serious that particular field is. And I used to hear stories, not so much stories, but projected theories that people put out about, if you do more than 10 years in prison, something's wrong mentally, right? They were using that particular thing. But I used to always want to, because I started dabbling in it, not serious enough to get a degree or nothing, but just looking it up. You know how we do when we enjoy, you just want to read. So just reading stuff on psychology, and I was just wondering, damn, when they say that a certain amount of time you do, you automatically like with the SSI thing, but they have it so secretive in the sense to whereas you never really even know how to get the benefits, you really even know how to get the treatment. Even the there's a I don't know, you may know the term, but there's a term psychologists use for when a person diagnosing to see if a person is ready to enter society. All right. I don't know if it's something civil, something, whatever, but they said they used to do it a long time ago. Before the parole board, before they used to have to go to see mental health, before you even get released. but they stopped doing that altogether. Not only did they stop doing that altogether, but as you were just saying, even addressing the other traumas, or how are we going to even, you know what I'm saying, even addressing that. So just my thing, what, it was more so a statement, but I'm trying to think of a question now. But what more so, as far as aspect, right? Do you feel brothers need to, like, one of the first things brothers need to address?
Oh, I think it's one of the first things is understanding. I call it the lens, right? And
Yeah.
y'all just bear with me for those that's out there, right?
Right.
This is how we see the world, right?
Your perspective. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in this, right, I could see through my lens. I could see through my fingers, right? Now, if I move my fingers apart, I realize nothing changed on this side. Nothing actually changed on this side. The only thing that actually changed was my lens. Now, my lens was developed through my childhood experiences, through the style of parenting that I underwent, through the community that I was raised in, through the music that I listened to and the culture that I grew up in. As this lens is formed, I realized several things. I was mad and angry.
Mm.
My lens, when we go back to growing up in Linden, East New York, and in Brownsville, I thought I was a gangster. I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be a shooter. I wanted to be somebody that you don't F with me. And what I didn't realize was that came from community trauma that I experienced, the community trauma that I experienced, which formed my lens. Now, how you see a thing determines how you feel about a thing. How you feel about a thing determines how you interact with a thing. And how you interact with a thing determines the outcome of the relationship of a thing.
Yeah.
So when I think about the traumas that I've experienced as a young man, I got a better understanding of why I made the decisions I made. What is my how and why I made the series of decisions that I made that brought me to prison. And KK, I'm like, one of the things that we have to address first and foremost, I believe, is our emotional trauma. As men, many of us have this toxic masculinity where it's believed we're not emotional. Nah, man, you don't address your emotions. To survive prison, one of the main ways for us to survive in prison, we had to turn off our emotions. We had to turn off the outside world. That's called disassociation and disattachment. And that in prison was a protective factor that helped us get through that time. So now when many of us come home, we find that we may excel in our careers, we may excel in school, we may excel in business and entrepreneurship, but certain of our interpersonal relationships, it's hard for us. There's a lot of conflict there because that protective factor of being able to turn off your emotions and disassociate, it becomes like default. I don't care, beat it, bye, I'm good. So addressing the emotional trauma, recognizing what we go through, being able to identify, having emotional intelligence. What am I actually feeling? Too often, out of the 5 primary emotions, our default emotion is anger. I feel embarrassed, I respond with anger. I feel guilt, I respond in anger. Sad, I respond in anger. Why? Because it's the lens. I ain't gonna look weak. I ain't gonna look soft. You bugging, you crazy? So I think one of the first things that we need to address, and brothers and sisters, our kings and our queens, is understanding that emotion, understanding what makes you tick and why. What are the traumas that you've been through? Not to use them as an excuse or a crutch, but the moment you can pinpoint, like it's like you driving using a GPS and you get lost, trying to get to a destination, and it keep rerouting you. At some point, you got to make a stop and redirect yourself. And I think that's one of the things that we need to do, brother.
I think.
So
I think. No, go ahead, KK. I apologize if to our listeners out there. If this is your first time that you're tuned in, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. I'm your host Moshe Canty. You're locked in with us. I'm here with my co-host KK Mikey B, and our special guest Joe Williams. I apologize. Go ahead, KK. My bad, bro.
Yeah, no, I was just chiming in. Basically, he was going with understanding self. But I wanted to kind of take it back because there's a whole process, and get the people that's watching and tuning in and listening to really understand the process of before, during, and after. You know what I'm saying? So the particular traumas you know what I'm saying, that kind of condition us, you know what I'm saying, before we actually even enter the prison system. But those particular traumas, and how can, because a lot, like right now, like, one of the things is just addressing the youth and some of their thing, like how to even prevent them or get them to become aware of some of the actual traumas they're facing before they end up getting in trouble, and you know what I'm saying, and experiencing an even deeper trauma. So if you could like expound just on that process, because I know the process is breaking down, but the traumas before crime and prison comes into a play.
So there's a thing, we parent the way we parented until we choose differently, right? And we were building, and I realized, for those who ever saw the movie Roots, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like a visual, so I like to create visualizations, right?
Yes, sir.
Movie Roots had the main character Kunta Kinte, right? Kunta Kinte, he knew where he was from. He knew his bloodline. He knew his royal kingship. He knew his cultures. He knew his customs, right? Kunta Kinte, through that whole transatlantic slave trade, although this is a fictional character, this is real, he was brought over here to America. And in order for them to break Kunta Kinte, they wanted to strip his name, strip his language, strip his lens, right? And every time he would run away, they would catch him. What's your name, boy? Psh, psh, Kunta. He said it with authority. He said it, Kunta, Kunta. He kept saying it. Till the last time they cut off his feet, they whipped him again. What's your name, boy? He said, Toby. Kunta and Toby actually existed in the same body. Toby was brought forth through the violence that was brought against his body. And the goal was the violence against his body to change and control his mind and therefore his behaviors. So Toby's great grandkids is going to look through what lens? Kunta's lens or Toby's lens?
The lens of Toby.
I love the visual.
Now, here's a part that hits home for many of us and kind of hurts. Because this is no different than, get your little ass over here and sit down before I fuck you up. Go get the belt. Now, it's not to blame our parents. It's not. Many of our parents use methods because they had the best intentions, right? But it's not about intention, but it's always about interpretation and the outcomes of. So Toby, great grandkids are looking through the lens of Toby, not realizing that they have the bloodline, they have the history, they have the strength, they have the resilience of Kunta. They are kings and queens. And as such, my goal, working in the high school, my goal when I pull up to the P's and I see the little homies and I start building with them, I want to help y'all recognize, get off that lens. Take off that Toby lens. Recognize your kingship. Again, when I say it's not for our parents, because we parent the way we were parented until we choose differently. So that's for us as parents to start adopting new parenting practices, because We don't want to break the spirit of our kids. We want our kids seeing themselves as the kings and the queens that they are, not as little niggas, not as dumb. Not, yo, get your stupid ass over here. We have to start speaking life into them in every facet, even in our discipline approaches. And this is something that is a constant growth. So to your question, how do we help the youth? Well, number one, we got to lead by example.
Yeah, how do we?
We got to lead by example. What's going on in our community, this gun violence, this violence as a whole, I really like to say that it's like emotional temper tantrums with bullets. People are not really recognizing that I felt embarrassed. I felt hurt, but I can't articulate that. So now you try to play me, I'm gonna shoot you. But you really just felt embarrassed. Yeah. Addressing the traumas of our community. And it takes all of us. We're all responsible.
So, wow, this is powerful, man. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. I see the like buttons are up, man. Yo, man, listen, this conversation is much needed. This is some real stuff here, man. So Joe, I want to put this into context because the way I hear you explain this is truly profound. So you're saying that not only do we as a people have intergenerational trauma that we're trying to deal with, that we have not dealt with properly, but we have this trauma, this intergenerational trauma that we're trying to figure out as traumatic victims. And then as this problem compounds itself, we put ourselves in more traumatic experiences. In this case, you're talking about the incarceration piece. So explain to us, and then for all intents and purposes, you're saying that this trauma is not getting addressed, and now after spending 10, 25, 27 years, 30 years in prison, 15, etc., we bring more trauma back to our communities, and it becomes even more compounded than it was when we left. Is this what I'm getting at?
That's a whole fact, King.
So explain the interconnectedness of that trauma, right? You already expressed the origins of it, right? Express it from a systemic standpoint that it's not being addressed.
So number one is not being addressed. Like when I first told some of my mentors at Bard College that I wanted to go into social work, a few things I heard, and you don't make no money in social work. Like that's gonna be you're gonna take on a bunch of people's problems. Like that you wanted to be a social worker. And for me, I recognized that I needed to be in the field. Like I played the block. Like when I was in Linden hustling, I was on that block hard body. My boss had a rule, Fry had a rule. You don't come outside without your gun on you. You stay ready. You stay ready. You never got to get ready. And so now as a professional, I recognize that systematically it's designed that way to make this profession, to make us speaking about emotions, right? Because think of our music. Think like let's just think of our music. Think of our culture, right? And I asked my students this. I was like, yo, rap the first verse of your song, and I guarantee you it's speaking death. Now, now I'm not knocking brothers and sisters' ways of trying to eat through entertainment, but systems that reinforce itself. I just recently, and I'm get back on topic, but somebody asked me during Thanksgiving, like, yo, you don't celebrate Thanksgiving? Because when everybody's saying happy Thanksgiving, you just like happy holidays. And I said, do we understand where the origin of Thanksgiving came from? To perpetuate a system perpetuates colonialism. Thanksgiving came from, it was signed into a holiday by President Lincoln, but the practice was when the settlers would wipe out upon self. Somebody, see what I'm saying? Like, why everybody need to hear what you listening to, Scrap? You know what I mean? What if my kids were asleep? But anyway, my fault, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, the practice was anytime the settlers would clear out and raise a village of the natives and kill them, they would set up a feast. They would set up a table and have a feast. And that feast, they would be giving thanks for them overcoming the savage in this savage land. And this is what became sent into become a holiday that systematically Halloween, celebration of fear, fear produces trauma, into Thanksgiving, we celebrate death and destruction, which takes us into Black Friday, when slaves were sold for half the price at auction, which leads us into Christmas, which for many of our people keeps us indebted. Systems are put into place that our series of decisions, we willfully, ignorantly participate in, that perpetuates the traumas of our past. So as I think of social work, when I got to social work, the school of social work, it was like me, three other brothers, a field predominated by women. And if we want to talk about race, well, being Black and being brown, that was like you an anomaly. In this field, I consider myself a unicorn. I'm formerly incarcerated. I'm from the hood for real. I really was not somebody that was from the hood, lived on the other floor, and he might have played basketball. No, I was in the streets for real. I was thugging and bugging. Mo, we know each other from the town, from before all of it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Black man. I'm a Black heterosexual man, because this is another stigma, is that you're a social worker, you gay, and it's not to knock anybody's choices, anybody's series of decisions, but the stigmas that are affixed with this profession. I'm like, nah, scrap. I need more social workers. I need homies. I need my sisters going to school, go get a master's in social work. Come holler. I'm building something that we can really change this game, and I know I can't do it by myself. But me being on this platform is letting the people know, not only am I out there, not only is it okay to get therapy, because it's okay. We need somebody to talk to that can help us process and work through our traumas. I'm not saying run and get medication. Yes, some people have chemical imbalances in the brain. Some people have emotional imbalances. Again, I'm not promoting medication, and I'm not against medication either, but I recognize how that has been weaponized. What I'm saying is I need more in the field. Yeah. I need y'all. I need help. I can't do it by myself. So this is a way, bro, that to answer your question, I know I go around the river, but I try to hit on mad points for the time that I got. But this is how that intersection, this is how the systemic traumas work. Because what's the goal? To reinforce Toby's. Nah, king, nah, queen, my language. Peace, king, peace, queen.
Peace.
KK, you want to ask another question?
I just got all wrapped into what he was talking about. He just,
locked in our boy Joe.
Yeah, when he was going into the Peace King, I had looked at Frank White comment. Right, he said they used stolen Egyptian knowledge, and then I'm just combining everything. I'm just reading some of the statements that was said, and the dynamic. And one of the things is how powerful language is, right? And this is something like I learned like in prison, like stop using the N-word. And I was challenged, and it'd be something just as small as that, though, and that they don't even realize. It would be something small as that. I didn't realize that till later on, but brother was like, "You don't got no other word to use." I said, "What?" But he like kind of since being that I was so young, right? I think I was like 19 at the time, and I like everything I took as a challenge, right? So yeah, exactly. But when he took, I was like, "What? I can use more words than that," right? He made it seem like basically like I was ignorant. I didn't want to. I'm not ignorant. I'm not stupid. What are you talking about? You don't, but you only use if maybe 5,000 responses. That's automatic, right? And there's so many words, phrases, or whatever that you can use, and you only use that. Like when the person said, "Yeah, I mean," or you heard, and it was repetitive, and I said, hold up. I started watching what I said, and then I realized how serious that was when they say think before you speak. And a lot of people, majority of the people, do not do that. It's just like reactionary. You just
let me comment to that.
Again.
Let me comment to that, Joe. Right. So, and I know y'all probably remember this. Y'all remember when the late SI issue, he put out the memo that he wanted all of the homies to not use the N-word anymore. Y'all remember when that became like a cultural thing where inside brothers was not trying to use the N-word? Mm-hmm. And the thing was this, and I remember having a conversation with somebody, and I used to use it just on the regular, right? And not to deviate from, but this is going into the trauma, right? I remember not having the ability to control my words. That was more harmful than using the N-word. And an individual told me, it's not that you're saying the N-word. It's just that you're not conscious of when you're saying it. You're rambling off so many words that you don't even realize how often you're saying it. He said, and that's more detrimental than the N-word. So going back to that, as I was saying that there was a trauma that we were dealing with that had not been addressed. And in order for us to really start progressing, we had to first identify that there was something that within ourselves, we saw ourselves lesser than who we truly were. So he was trying to reinstill a semblance of Black pride within us so that we wouldn't see each other as ops. We would see each other like brothers. And I wanted to add to that, but before I do, listen, for those of us who just pulled up, if you're here for the first time, please, man, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You are tuned in to We Locked In. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, KK, Mikey B, and our special guest, the brother, Joe Williams, man. So
it's hard for you to call me Joe. You keep wanting to call me Josh, bro.
You do. Yeah, listen, we from around. Listen, we from around the same way. We from around the same way. I'm like, so I'm stuttering, and so you got me slipping right now. So, in terms of the coming back to the community now, right? And I would like for you to talk so much to the point of that trauma not being addressed after doing long stints in prison. Because think about what we went through in prison. Think about all of the indignities that we had to suffer from by spending time in Attica, Comstock, Elmira. I don't care, the 75th precinct, and so on and so forth. Talk about that trauma that has not been addressed versus coming home back to your community. Speak about that for a minute, my brother.
The traumas that have not been addressed. It's so many, bro. It's so many. There was a saying, and there remains a saying, and this is where, like, when it comes to social media, it's not that I'm archaic, but I recognize the detriment in it. If you want to hide something from a Black man, put it in a book. Education was something that was never lauded for us. And I'm not talking about a white man's education. I'm talking about the ability to read, comprehend, process, think critically, read deeper into the meanings of things, what's not being said, how to contextualize. We're in the age where you can't, everybody on their phone. And on your phone, you even on IG, like you're in the matrix. People walking down the street, not even paying attention, in the matrix. And this is becoming a societal norm. The societal norm is not breeding thinkers. It's not breeding deep thinkers. It's not breeding strategists. I was playing out some of my students, and one of the things I do, I teach chess. I teach my kids, my students chess, and like chess is, you mentioned I'm a life chess coach. I'm the co-owner, or I'm the owner and founder of Life Chess Inc., YNK, Young New Kings and Queens. I want to help my brothers and sisters become deep thinkers. And I was watching one of my students play, and this is one of my I got him under the wing for the last 3 years. Matter of fact, it's 3-4 years. And I'm watching this game, and he playing somebody that just recently started. And after I was like, yo, give me push-ups. Give me push-ups. You got to do push-ups for that. Because you were not thinking. You was reactionary, moving one move at a time instead of analyzing the board, visualizing your checkmate, and recognizing the necessary steps. If I do this, he'll do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. You corner him, checkmate. So now you got to pay for that. Why? Because the consequence of the push-ups, number one, he fiending to beat me. It's not happening though. You know, when can the student beat the master? And this is something also that I've learned, and it's a question I asked them. When can the student beat the master? When the master stops being a student. The key in that is we're always supposed to be learning. In our communities, unfortunately, teen pregnancy, substance use, domestic violence, poverty. It's no white man that's coming, pissing in the elevator, throwing the trash in the hallway. It's just the lens that we look at our community and what our series of decisions makes the outcomes. And so when I think about the community trauma, when I think about us returning, that's why I'm proud of y'all on this platform, because each of us in one way or another recognize we have a social obligation to our people. You did you, you did you, you did you, I did me. That's a wrap now. It's about doing for our community. There's a saying in the My Brother's Keeper, the My Brother's Keeper initiative that former President Barack Obama started. And in the New York State initiative, they have this saying, we lift as we climb. And so this idea, as I'm climbing, my goal is to reach back and lift. And it's not just lifting my formerly incarcerated brothers and sisters. In my email chain, and I think, I don't know if y'all all see my email chain, my quote, what my signature is, W.E.B. Du Bois has the book that he's known for, The Souls of Black Folks, right? And in that book, there's a line that is often quoted. The greatest problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. Right? Now, there's another section further in the back of that book, and this is this quote. For every community cursed with crime, hold on, I gotta make sure I quote this right. For every community cursed with crime, the problem isn't punishment of the criminals, but it is in training the young, or it is preventing the young from being trained to crime. Mm. So for any community cursed with crime, the problem isn't punishment of the criminals, but in preventing the young from being trained to live a life of crime. How do we do that? How do we provide better opportunities? How do we create a different standard of living? I go back to our music. Our music does not celebrate unity between us and our queens. Our music actually builds distrust between the two sexes. And in that distrust, there's no unity, there's no foundation to build. So when there's seeds, when the 16-year-old is having sex with the 16-year-old, and I'm not fully developed in myself, but I think you complete me. I think I'm in love. And in these acts, and these grown people's acts, we get pregnant. And then fast forward 5 years, 10 years, 3 years later, I'm in prison. You're hurt, disappointed. And now you're left to raise a kid. And we just repeating the cycle unawares. So the work, and this is what I've realized about this work. I realized about this with therapy. I'm on a platform called Hello Alma, HELLOALMA, and I do therapy. And for people that, if you go through the platform and based on some insurance, based on some people's out of pocket, I work with my people because I know everybody can't afford therapy, but it's helping my family, it's helping my community, it's helping the young recognize their lens. Why do you look at the world the way you look at the world? That will help you inform why you feel the way you feel. Because I go back, how you see a thing determines how you feel about a thing. How you feel about a thing determines how you interact with a thing. How you interact with a thing determines the outcome of the relationship of a thing. So wait a minute. It all starts with me. So it starts with my power. It starts with my vision. And the goal is to help our brothers and sisters see you are resilient. You are intelligent. We are loving, peaceful people. And you mentioned something about the ops, right? And I really want to go back to this because
when you said that, I was thinking about that as you was talking about just the language, and especially in music, and they promoting ops. So you're creating a atmosphere where everybody's an enemy.
Like, now here's the catch, KK. Here's the catch to that, right? I'm gonna tell you the catch to that, right? I asked them, describe your op. If you close your eyes and describe your op, how does he dress? Where's he from? What's the music he like to listen to? Oh, snap, you're describing yourself. The training of the lens is teaching us, perpetuating us to hate ourselves. Crazy. So if we hate ourselves, of course we're going to hate our brothers and sisters. And this is the system that works to oppress to the point we don't even need to see an overseer's foot on our neck. We keep our own foots on our own necks and on the necks of our brothers and sisters.
That's a great point right there. That I'm so glad that you touched that. If somebody mute themselves, because I'm hearing an echo in the background. I like how you're able to address that matter, and that level of trauma where we perpetuate self-hate has been one of our biggest challenges to overcome, because we have developed a pattern of self-hate that has become almost second nature to us. It's the norm for us. It's who we are, right? And I don't say that as to say it, this is who we are innately. I'm simply saying that we have, over the course of time, inherited characteristics that have taken us away from our true selves. This is not to suggest that throughout history there was not tribalism, that we didn't fight other tribes, and when we were in power and we governed and ruled over ourselves. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that in America, in the diaspora, there is a different kind of self-hate that has been perpetuated, and that experience is interconnected to previous generations who were not able to address that due to the slave experience. So it was, we have to understand that the system itself in which we live under was strategically designed to keep us at odds with each other. So you spoke to that point, right? And I'm glad that you were able to address that with the terminology of the ops and things of that nature. Where do you see this level of trauma at? Like, is it at a level in which, and I'm just saying this for a question, I have to ask this question. For some people would like to think that it's irreparable. Like, it's just literally, we're at a point of no return. And I'm going to ask that question to you. How do we get to that point in which we are able to make some headway to address the trauma and overcome it, is my question.
So one of the biggest things in therapy, and like even on my site, or on that platform, when it comes to therapy is scary. Therapy takes a lot of work. Therapy is what we have known, those of us who have done time, and significant time, especially if we did box time, that's ceiling time. You laying on your bunk and you looking up and your life is playing before you. And you seeing every series of decisions you made. You seeing every chess move that made your reality what it is. You can't blame nobody because you realize, damn, my mom's told me not to go outside, man. If I'd have just listened to my mom's, man, I would have just stayed in the crowd. I wouldn't even be doing this. I wouldn't even shot, homie. Therapy is tricky because it's mad reverb. Somebody
mute themselves. Where we getting that feedback from?
Therapy is a scary thing because it makes us vulnerable. And this is why it's important that brothers and sisters get into this field of mental health clinician, emotional clinician, social work, community, be it a violence interrupter. Understanding that therapy, addressing, making, and so to first, let me answer, yes, it is repairable. Yes, it is. It's very much repairable. You said you agree, but you muted. So it's repairable, but it takes a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of commitment, and it's going to take a community to build. We can't do it in silos. I'm one dude. I can't be in high school in Queens, come back doing therapy online, running to Mount Vernon, running to the Bronx. I can't be I can't be in Brooklyn. I can't be everywhere. So what do we need to do? We need to build more brothers and sisters that can do this work. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, right? I'm not a Christian. I don't take on none of that, right? But, and I bring this up, its relevance because I consider myself a conduit of peace and healing. Anybody I come in contact with, my goal is to help you develop. It's not to fix you because I ain't in the fixing business. I can't fix nobody. But my goal is to help you come to a level of peace in your mind, peace in your emotions, and healing. Heal you, heal the relationships. Then let's heal the community. Let's heal how we raise our children. And the moment this becomes a wave and we stop looking to blame and be victims, we recognize that we got Kunta Kinte power. I'm a king, you a king, that's a queen, and I'm gonna treat her like a queen. I'm not gonna treat her like a bitch, a hoe, and I'm not gonna treat him like a nigga or an op. We start to build. And as we build, this becomes the new norm. And it takes a lot of work. Now, I go back to that vulnerability, man, because to sit in front of somebody you don't know and to talk about your traumas. Some of our people been molested. Real talk. Some of our people just been abused.
A lot of our people have been molested.
Yes. Some of our people have contemplated suicide and have tried suicide. I tried twice when I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just mad. When I look back, in hindsight, that ceiling time, I realized I was so mad and angry. I just tried to hurt myself. So understanding that therapy is a space of real vulnerability. And that means you got to trust the person that you're sitting across from. So if you don't see somebody that look like you, if you don't see somebody that can understand your verbiage, if you don't see somebody that can kind of relate to some of your experiences, you're not going to trust them. They're not going to, most people, and it's not just having book smarts. Like somebody could read, go to the course, read. That's not going to make them a good social worker. That's not going to make them a good therapist because they passed the test. No. It's about understanding how to connect with my people. And then connecting, I think of the spider, all right? I think of a spider web. Think of an intricate woven web. The more connections we make, the more intricate the web. The more intricate the web, the more places we could travel. So when I say, yo, let's connect and build, I'm trying to create these spider webs. I need more people in this field so that everybody on your end, they recognize, yo, I could be vulnerable with KK. He's not going to judge me. He's not going to look at me as I'm less than a man. He's not going to come with toxic masculinity. He's going to help facilitate this healing process. When I need to talk to Mo, I know that speaking to the brother Moshe, he's going to speak life into me. He's not going to speak death into me. And this is what we need. But again, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of vulnerability. And people got to be committed to the long run. For real, to the long run. And in the commitment to the long run, in the commitment to the outcome, it's not about me no more. It's not about me no more. I did all my taking. At 15 in the hood, some of the old heads in the hood was calling me a Vietnam vet 94 when I was 15. I played with them things. Like, nah, I'm not taking no more. I want to build. I want to help with life. I want to help with liberty, and I want to help with love. And that's what I want to spread as a conduit of peace and healing.
Talk.
Yo, we are tuned. This is Therapy Thursday, y'all. We are tuned in to We Locked In. Where else would you be but here? I see our brother Jamel Saladin pulled up. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I got my co-host here, my brother KK, my brother Mikey B, and our special guest, Joseph Williams. Saladin, you got some questions for the brother? I know you do, man. I know you got something you want to say, man. First, let me introduce y'all, man. Yo, Joe, this the brother Jamel right here, man.
Peace, gang.
Peace, Joe. I'm overwhelmed, man. And Shy 120, I'm gonna say it again. I'm sorry. Let me give my proper respects first of all. First, give an honor to God. I give an honor to be amongst my fellow peers, Mikey B, Moshe, KK, and the brother Joe. I can't come into someone's house and be disrespectful like that. I see someone, I have to address them in the chat. Shy 120, I apologize to you 3 times now. So that's that. We'll talk offline. First of all, this conversation was needed. The other night, I got on my phone. I just went on a rant for 1 hour. I'm talking about the same thing that you were saying. Now, I heard you say, Brother Joe, that you are a follower of Yeshua, yet you are not a Christian. So then you hit me because I consider myself the same thing. That means you understand the Essenes because you started talking about healing. And for those that you don't know, I just give a small bit of history. Because in the Bible, they say Yeshua was king of the Jews. But from his original foundation, which were the Essene community, which was known for healing, they specialized in healing. So he wasn't really a Jew until he moved into his family moved into a certain area of Judea. And the Maccabee brothers, they were going to war at that time. So they said, whoever is in this area right here, you have to be Jewish. You have to be Jewish. And it seems they didn't want no problems. Again, they were master healers. They were studiers of the ancient wisdoms. That's all they said. If you allow us to still study, we don't really care. And they said, fine. And they came to that agreement. Now I could go on to that, but I don't want to. That purpose was to let you know that I also study Yeshua, who y'all addresses Jesus, and healing has to take an effect. Now, in studying Yeshua, I learned a lot about vibrations. So when you was talking about the words, and I was looking at the chats, and the chat understands fully about the words that come out of our mouth. And that's what I was saying the other night on my live, where we're being perpetuated into a trance. Now, there's a guy named Yuri Bezmenov. Okay, he's a KGB defector. And when they caught him, they wanted to know, how did you guys plan to take over America? Right? He's from the Cold War era, and they caught him in India. And the United States said, "How did you guys plan overtaking America?" He said, "From inside out." He said, "We knew it was going to take 15 to 20 years to do, and we had no problem doing that." And ultimately, they pretty much they got pretty far. But so what the United States is known for doing is using these tactics that they learned from the scientists from World War II. They did not kill the scientists from World War II when they went over there. They brought those scientists back over here to work. I'm just telling you facts. This is not conspiracy. It's not to make your channel hot. I'm just dropping facts off to you guys. They brought those scientists back over here to work on all type of projects. Now, the most famous project that we heard about and we know about is the MK Ultra project, and we all know about that. But they use these tactics. So, for our strongest weapon, our strongest enjoyment, which is music, right? You do not consider for 1 second that they would sit down and try to sabotage and manipulate and do mind control. Of course, because we don't own that industry. We don't own it. We are not at the head of it to say what's going on. So again, if they can get, and one more thing I'll say before I say that, all the way going all the way back to George Washington, when we see the Masons, he's in his Mason wear and everything. And I won't get into much into the Masons because I got my Mason brothers on here. But what I will say is these people, they love African knowledge. And why I say African? Because Egypt is not Africa, right? So if I just say Egypt, and this is what they try to do now, they play the game of, oh, yeah, ancient Egypt. No, brother, ancient Africa. Say Africa because that's where Egypt is at. They love the knowledge there, all right? And they didn't want anybody else to know the knowledge, what they learned. So yet, if you do learn about it, there's all this knowledge about, there's a ton of knowledge in there. But frequency and how it affects the body is very real. So if you learn about spells and all this stuff, so I say, man, they have the knowledge, not only from the science part, because Brother Joe, you can communicate and articulate in a formal educational way, right? I did not go to school for psychology or to be, so I can't talk in those realms of health and mental health like you can, right? But I understand it from another aspect. Ultimately, we're saying the same thing though. And we see the weapon, and now that we recognize the weapon that's out there, I definitely want to say, okay, now how do we get to the point of solving the issue and stopping this weapon? And you hit, and I won't be too long, you hit one of the points on the head. You said it's going to take everyone's involvement, and it's going to take time, right? Because Yuri Benzinoff said it took 20 years to brainwash us, 15 years to brainwash. So we have to be dedicated to something that Martin Luther King was well aware of. He said, I have a dream. I may not be here when that thing flourishes, but if we can all do our part, that's good enough. Let's just all do our part. And you also mentioned Mount Vernon, and as you were talking, I said, me and this brother need to hook up. So twice a week, I go to Mount Vernon High School, and I teach cloud computing over there. But I want to go to more schools, and I was going to more schools, but I not only schools, I want to do pop-ups in the hood to get our to get our children involved. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I feel if we put more pressure on the people that they look up to get involved and change the narrative, it would help. That's all. That's all I want to say.
I think I agree with much. I think the only thing that I would push back on for you, Brother Jamel, was
Yes.
the part of put pressure on the people. It's
Right.
not about us putting pressure on them. It's about helping them recognize their lens. The moment we can help them recognize their lens in their series of decisions, their complicitness in the state of our people today, I'm confident Many of us don't realize that we're looking through a lens like this. Matter of fact, everybody do it. If you doing it right now, just steeple your fingers in front of your eyes, right? Keep a little space in between. Move them up and down. Now, as you do that, you can still see the screen in front of you. Now, slowly pull them apart.
Right.
It's a whole different view now. This is what we need to help our people recognize, that our experiences, our childhood experiences, our choices. One of the key things that I've learned, life and death is in the tongue. We have power to speak life and we have power to speak death. What are we choosing? Because it all goes back to me, you, him, her. And the more we can help our brothers and sisters recognize the blood of Kunta, the heritage of Kunta still lies in you. All you have to do is enact the power that's in you. And that's the power to speak life and not death. And in that, we will start making a series of decisions. Those series of decisions, because that one decision, like when my moms and my pops had sex, and my pops planted me and her, they didn't think this would be the outcome. They just thought they was expressing love to one another. Not realizing a series of decisions. I ask a lot of my students, when the last time that you've seen somebody who is without shelter? And they'll give me, the other day, how old was he or she? They were like 40, 50. And I say, yo, they was 15 once. They was 16 once. They was 18 once. They made a series of decisions that when you see them, their outcome in life. So now, if we are deliberate, and I want to go back, Moshe, you asked me, what can we do? I think one of the biggest things, I think every household, everybody that can hear me, if you don't know how to play chess, learn how to play chess. I think that's the start. I really do think that would be the start, because it'll teach you about delayed gratification. It'll teach you about strategy. It'll teach you about being able to observe opponent's tactics, see traps that's laid for you. It'll teach you about having and focusing on the objective. Chess is not about stealing a bunch of pieces. It's not about capturing your opponent's queen. It's about checkmate. So it's about literally focusing on what the objective is and move accordingly towards that. I want to go back to trauma, and I want to I told you I like analogies, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Nah, yeah.
All right. So let's visualize a cat chasing its tail, and let's visualize a turtle with Bugs Bunny on his back, dangling a carrot in front of him. Right? Both of these entities have movement. Right? Both got movement. The cat I see as our trauma. We're constantly chasing something from our past. Although we're in movement, we're actually not going nowhere but in a circle. The turtle or the tortoise with Bugs Bunny or whatever, just with a carrot dangling in front of it, is constantly moving towards an objective. Each step is propelling him or her towards an objective that they see in front of them. This is why many of us, when we was up north, we put pictures up on our walls. Has certain stuff on the wall, pictures of the family. So when you get ready to lock out, you remember, all right, let's keep it calm because we're trying to get up out of here. We don't do jail, we do the streets. These were our dangling carrots. These were the things that kept us focused. So by learning how to play chess, I think many within our community, for myself, I just saw that. I think many in our community, when you start to incorporate chess into your life, into your way of thinking, you'll then become a strategic thinker.
I think this is where I think this is a perfect. First of all, let me say for everybody that's tuned in right now, man. Listen, this is Therapy Thursday. I'm your host Moshe Canty. We are all locked in. I'm here with my co-host KK, Mikey B. Jamel Saladin just pulled up, and I'm here with our guest speaker, Mr. Joseph Williams. So the chess piece, I have to do it now. You know, I didn't want to go into that, but I gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
So this is a perfect time, right? So this is exactly why, and I need everybody to hear this, man. You feel what I'm saying? This is exactly why my wife and I came up with our company, Conscious Mind Ventures. So to add to your point, right? We spelled it Konchess, but we were talking about also it's a double entendre. We were talking about the mind. That's why we called it conscious mind. So the goal was that we had to retrain ourselves to start thinking a totally different way. But the analogy with the game of chess is why you see the chessboard, the pieces on the, that signify the moves that we make in life. And I realized at some point of my prison bid, after being locked in for 23 hours a day, man, fighting them white folks up there in the mountains, every jail I'm in, it was just freaking, it was mayhem, right? I said to myself, I'm going to die in here. Like I literally said to myself, I'm going to die in prison. I feel that the life is going to be taken out of my body in this place. And it was the same year, 2014, when I lost my grandmother in April. And then that same year, losing my mother on Christmas. I knew within that point, it was like, yo, my moves, because at that point I had we all been in the box. We know how it feels when you're being given your food through a slot, a feed up slot.
Yeah.
You know how it feels when you got to yell out the door for your rec pen door to be opened up because your door, I'm in the first cell, I'm single cell. I'm running to the back gate, screaming, yelling, trying to go get the rec pen door. We know how it feels to live in that environment. I had everything that they wanted me to have at my disposal. I had my shower in the cell. I had my bed in the cell. I had my toilet in the cell, all this stuff. I had the table in the cell, and then I had the rec pen door. But it was at that point of being vulnerable that I realized, bro, that the moves that I was making were the worst moves I could ever make in my life. It put me at that point where I was at a total dependence for the officers to bring the food to feed me. And I said, where in my life did it go this wrong? And to your point, you mentioned this earlier, Joe, that we had to go back. You got to figure out what's going on with you that you're at this point in this life. And that's what ultimately awoken that spirit that was in there, because it's a different type of spirit. When I'm not talking about the spirit of resistance where you fighting against oppression and you putting in that work, you on the front line. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that fight, as we say in Arabic, that jihad al-akbar, that fight where you're fighting your soul, that you trying to figure out how can I overcome the worst part of myself so that I could become the best part of myself. So I had to go back. I had to go back inside of myself. I had to dig deep. Why do I think the way that I think? Why am I struck? Why am I always so angry? Where's all this coming from? Why do I feel so defensive? Why do I feel so insecure? Why do I feel so vulnerable? Why do I feel weak? Why do I want to appear strong when I'm really weak?
Facts.
I just want some help. And I remember feeling like really vulnerable, man. Like I'm talking about where I just dropped on my knees, like just crying, like, yo, I need help.
Facts.
Like I'm really struggling with trying to find out who I am and my place within it. I got so big. Y'all all know this, man. My name got so big in the jail system. Brothers started calling me George Jackson. Y'all want me to live up to George? So I'm gonna die like George.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
think like in terms of like this trauma, bro, like I got to a point in my life where everybody on the outside thought I was like really this strong person. And I was strong. I could do 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 jumping jacks, 1,000 squats. Yeah. But inside,
Hurting.
I was hurting. I was hurting, bro. And it was at that moment of admitting that I was a vulnerable person and I needed this help. That true help really, 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 really came to me. And that's when I started seeing true change starting to happen in my life. And I was no longer held captive by my own insecurities. So that form of trauma is deep. If we do not address it, it can ultimately kill us. I'm
That's a
passing the
fact.
mic, man.
Oh, God.
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
So before you go, because one of the things I had wanted to mention earlier, there was a book. Right, I was facilitating a class called Emotional First Aid. Right, and one of the things it was outlining was seven distinct things. All them, um, one of them being rejection, guilt, uh, it was rejection, guilt, heartbreak, left out or something. But the things could be small. I can't remember all seven now, but it was like small slights that people take, right? That over and over again, it leaves little cuts and wounds on a
1,000
person,
cuts.
right? So
Yeah.
we were just like, it's crazy. So just like say, right, I'm gonna use this. I like because you got me doing the picture thing. So now I'm gonna use this. Say we see these pictures on the screen right now, and say if me and you just start going back and forth, and say a brother gets left out of the conversation, right? Obviously, it's gonna cause some type of feeling in the brother if he's getting left out of a conversation, right? So now if this continues, the cut gets a little deeper and deeper. So he may lash out, start speaking crazy, interrupting, you know what I'm saying, or voicing. But these things happen on a day-to-day basis, right? Small things that we may not even notice, right? Things with women. And if you've seen some of the crazy crimes that's been committed towards women lately, like thing like that. Dude gets slighted or put down because she don't want to mess with him, and it causes something in him, and it causes him to lash out later on somebody else that may not even have anything to do with it. But these traumas, learning, being in that class, and actually, I was learning while facilitating it because somebody actually loved how I was interacting as a student, and they left and was like, "Yo, we want you to," you know what I'm saying, like keep the class going. So like going through the book, it's like, damn, bro, not realizing it be the smallest little things that we don't even notice that then leave marks and scars on us, and we'll start acting them out later on at work, in relationship, in our regular day-to-day dealings, not even understanding where these particular feelings are coming from. Like that lens you speak of, or I like use perspective, or that person's perspective of things is just so dwarfed by what they've been through, they can't see the other person's perspective. Like one of the things we went through was the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, right? Loved that book, bro. And and Habit Five is like my favorite because he always talks about seeking first to understand, then to be right. So that's telling a person to try to see through the other person's eyes first. Try to understand what that person is going through first before you make them understand you, before you get them to feel you and get where you're coming from. Because a lot of times the traumas that that person had and you have, like, it'll end up colliding, and you won't even realize it. You don't even realize y'all not even really dealing with each other. Y'all just dealing with all of your past baggage and emotions and traumas that y'all been dealing with, and y'all just dumping them on each other. I mean, and it can turn so many different ways. There was something else. You said just about chess, because chess helped me tremendously. One time, just to share a serious trauma that I had went through. I was in a box. For me, obviously, um, my little cousin got killed. Right, my appeal got shot down. Well, this all happened in the weekend. I went to the box. Right when I get to the box, I think like Thursday, Friday, I'm getting mail. I'm like, what? I get shot down. I find out my little cousin died. I get a visit from my mother, and I find out like she was raped and contracted HIV from that. Right. So my mind was blown. You hear me? All these particular things happen back to back to back to me. So I'm sitting in I go back, I go off the visit, go to the box, sitting there. I just shut off all the lights. I don't see nobody. I don't see nobody. Because everybody kind of sensed how I was when I came back. Nobody said nothing. Boom. And I had cried for a minute. But my tears were like in a way where I was trying to prepare myself for the eventual that would become. I mean, more death, more letdowns, more boom. And I was just trying to just take all of it and just tears just flowed, me crying. Then I got on the gate, called this older brother I was playing chess with, and started playing chess. And he's like, "Yo, you all right? You need some more time?" Because, and I told him a little bit about it. He said, "Well, I don't even think you should even be doing it. I think you should." I said, "Nah, I actually need to do this." You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something I really feel like I need to do. And then we just started playing chess. And it took my mind away, you know what I'm saying, from a lot of other things, really kind of just to focus on the particular board. But these traumas, bro, they happen so much. And we don't realize the shit that we've been through, the shit that's affected us, you know what I'm saying, from past, now, and what's actually gonna, you know what I'm saying, like going to. And the whole thing is being aware. We get into these deep conversations, and a lot of people talk about, Egypt and the mind and energy and boom. And somebody put in a comment, I think I know the person, I put that in a comment too, about being practical, right? It's simple stuff. Like, be simple first. Understand you first. Understand the emotions that's going on inside of you. Why am I feeling this way? Why I want to hurt this dude? You know what I'm saying? Why I want to disrespect this person? Like, really understanding those particular things. You know what I'm saying? And I think is really trying to help people. So there was two things that so far, you know what I'm saying, that was put. And this was looking for actual solutions. One, like the person was really so you're talking about getting to understand yourself. That was the first thing I was mentioning. The second thing is basically, you were saying getting a hobby or something that challenges your mind. When we spoke, or we brought up chess. So something that actually challenge your mind and make you think. You need something to make you think. I mean, because if you're not, you're just being moved by everything that's around you and being pulled in so many different directions, you won't even be able to find out who you are and what's your particular path. Like that's Saladin.
Absolutely right.
Hold on, Joe. Listen, everybody out there who has not hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button. You guys are tuned in to Therapy Thursday. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, Mikey BKK. I'm here with Jamel Saladin, who's on the panel with our guest panelist, our guest speaker, Joseph Williams. I apologize. Listen, if you before brother Joseph speaks, if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, the brother Joseph, or just in general, you guys want to throw questions out there, please put them in the chat. We love you. We love the comments that you're giving us. Please, if you got any questions, the brother is more than qualified to answer them. That's why he's here. He's here to help give us some solutions. All right, go ahead, my brother. I apologize for cutting you off. Excuse me.
No reason. So one of the brothers, and I don't want to. First, KK, thank you for being vulnerable, bro. Like, it takes a lot for us to speak about the traumas that we ourselves have experienced, especially during that time. The brother Mark Gaston had wrote, about losing his moms and only being able to be at the casket for 5 minutes in shackles and cuffs and no other family there. And so I wanted to highlight that because, in 2010, I lost 3 family members back to back to back.
Yeah.
I was in Easton. I had got baptized. My great-great-grandmother had came up. And 2 days later, she died. Within 6 weeks later, one of my little cousins got killed out in Baltimore. And I had just seen them on a visit. They came up to visit, and got into something up here. They sent him out there, so he'd be out. He got killed out there. And then my uncle died first. And it was just like my uncle, my great-grandmother, my little cousin. And you talking about trauma. And that's on the inside. And typically on the inside, we can't grieve. We can't grieve because that shows weakness, or through our lens, we can't be weak. We gotta man up. As much as we hated during that time, it's like, I'm not committing suicide. I'm not going to the psych ward to take meds and be on a zombie. I gotta do this. I'm not gonna be getting high and just zone out my whole bed. I have to do this. And it brought me to a point that we didn't touch on, and that's arrested development. And there's this belief in this saying that when we go to prison, whatever age we were at, we stop growing. When we come home, we still have those tendencies and behaviors. So for those of us that went to prison at 16, did a dub, came home 36, if we did not work on our mind, if we did not work on emotional intelligence, if we did not work on trying to be our best self and understanding what makes us tick, we're going to have the same behaviors of a 16-year-old at 36. So in a relationship, it's going to be a bunch of cheating. It's going to be a bunch of selfishness and not giving. It's going to be you moving like a 16-year-old, although you are in the 36-year-old's body. So I definitely wanted to touch on that. All behavior is motivated by something. All of our behavior is motivated by something. To be in control of yourself and your outcomes, you have to know what motivates you. Why do you make the series of decisions? And this is what we keep going back to. Why do we make the decisions that we make? What are the outcomes that we actually want as opposed to what we're saying? And how do we get there? And as we talk and we build, there weren't many guides out there for us. Growing up, we had guides who would traumatize themselves. I think y'all spoke about this before, about leaders and how you were a leader, you know, when you thugging and bugging, you taking on this leadership role, but we're leading people to the cliff and off the cliff.
Yeah.
We didn't have leaders who we seen to be respectable. We seen to be strong, who told you it was okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, I love you. It's okay to say you handsome. It's okay to say that you're beautiful. And so because we didn't have that, we didn't have behaviors modeled for us. So a lot of us, when we came home, we're trying to freestyle. I didn't have a father growing up. So I'm freestyling how to be a father to my kids. But what I'm realizing, and as you know thyself, as we did this sailing time, as we take the time to look introspectively, understand what's my why, what motivates my behavior, I'm now able to say, I'll be damned if I break my son's spirit. I want my son to be a happy little boy. I don't care if you cry. Like, it's okay to cry. Go ahead and cry. Let it out. It cleanses. And when you finish, let's talk about it. These are different parenting tactics. We came up under the era of do as I say, not as I do. Children are to be seen and not heard. All these little sayings that we came up in produce trauma in us. To stifle the voice of a child, how do you expect that child to be able to advocate for themselves as an adult? So it's changing a lot. It's being, and that's why I say it's hard, because who want to look at themselves and say, yo, I was wrong. I messed up. Damn, I hurt you. I'm sorry. Many of us don't want to do that because of the lens of pride. Chess. I want to jump on this chess thing real quick, right? And this is the beautiful thing. I'm actually working on a book, right? And it's about this. The strongest piece on the board, or the piece that can flex the most, of course, is our queens, is the queen, right? There's only one king. We see pawns as being expendable. Pawns are the only piece that has power to grow up. And they could become any piece on the board except the king. Why? Because the king already lies within them. Each of us has kingship in us. Each of us has pawn power and not pomposity. We have the power to recreate ourselves. I ask my students, if you woke up today and you had $86,400, right? And you ain't do nothing to put that in your bank account, right? And you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, and you realize whatever money you had left over from the next day didn't roll over to the next day, but you got a fresh $86,400. What are you going to do after day 5? And many of them say, man, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. But what will be your goal? Man, my goal is going to be to spend all of it. Each day, we have 86,400 seconds in a 24-hour span. What are we doing with our time? Are we spending it? Are we wasting it? Or are we investing it? And part of the investment is to invest in ourselves and in our community. And I don't mean investing in brands and making other people names, making names rich or look like I got a station. I don't want you investing in your image and not investing in your foundation. And part of investing in our foundation, if I feel like my chest is feeling bad, I'm gonna go to a doctor. If it's my heart, I'm gonna go to a cardiologist. If my teeth start hurting, I'm gonna go to a dentist. If my eyes feel funny, I'm gonna go to an optometrist. If my feet feel funny, I'm gonna go to a podiatrist. Why won't we go to a therapist? Our hearts hurt. We're in pain. We're hurting as a community. We're hurting as a family. We're hurting individually as a people. Let's seek help. That's how you invest that 86,400 seconds that we're blessed with every day. Because the reality is, I was born February 16th, 1979, right? Told you I like visuals, so let me do this visual for you real quick, right? 1979. Was I was born, right? February 16th, geez Louise. February 16th, 1979, I was born. The day I was born, I automatically got a death date. I don't know when that death date is. Might be after this show, might be 10 years from now. Whenever it is, that's my time. I'm not in control of this, and I'm not in control of this. I am in control of this. What are we doing with our time? Are we looking to build? Are we looking to take responsibility for our actions and not blame? Are we looking to regain the power that lies within our bloodline? Kunta or Toby? I'm choosing to look through the lens of Kunta. I'm choosing and I'm moving every day deliberately, intentionally to help my brothers and sisters see the royalty in them so we can do better.
Hold on, I know Jamel wanted to say something, but one of our sisters, a few of our sisters have spoken in the chat, and the sister princess, she alluded to this. She said, think that the queen is the most important piece, but the most disrespected in life. So that's something to think about. Then the sister Patricia said, some pillars of society have been removed, hence deterioration of inner conscientiousness of right and wrong, hence unstable behavior in all facets. And before I pass it to
Saladin,
the brother Saladin, I apologize. To touch up on that, in terms of, I used to play chess, and all of us that's been in the box know how we play chess in the box. We make up these chess boards with these little pieces of paper, whatever you got as your pieces, you're gonna use it. You're gonna color your black ones in. Put P for pawn. Put
11
H
to 27.
for horse. 11 to 27. 13 to 29, 53, all that, right? So we know 53, 37. We know the game, right? 52, 36. We know the moves, right? 63, 46. We can just know the numbers where they at. 7 to 22, right? We moving the pieces, right? But if you notice, I said this before in one of my podcasts before on Conscious Moves of this goes back to the trauma, and to Princess's point, how we denigrate the queen. Now she's known as a queen on the board, but I always used to say, yo, how is it that we now refer to the queen as a bitch? So individuals used to be on the gate screaming, "Yo, my B take your pawn, my B." And I'm like, I used to always say to brother, I used to be like, "Yo, listen, what piece is that you're moving?" They used to say it's a queen. So why are you referring to the queen as a bitch? A bitch is a dog. How have you referred to that as a queen as such? So to your point of trauma, and then see the second point that I wanted to discuss about time.
30 years.
The only thing that distinguishes Joseph Williams from Kevin Ford, Jamel Saladin, Michael Walacy, Moshe Canty, and everybody that's listening, what distinguishes each of us from each other is how each of us invest our time. If you're wasting your time, that's on you. But we all got 24 hours in a day.
Hey,
that's just to confirm and corroborate what you basically spoke, Joe, because that's so profound, and I'm glad that you said that, because that's something that we don't really take into consideration, that we take for granted. But again, my brother Jamel, I apologize. I passed the mic to you,
man. I love you guys, man. I love you guys, man.
Yeah,
I'm loving
me too,
this.
man. I love y'all
We love
guys
you
too,
too,
man.
man. We love you
I
too.
am
I
loving
love y'all
this.
guys too, man.
We love you too, man.
Mikey B, what's up, man? You gonna take us out, man?
Hold on, I just want to say one thing. Okay. I know I get long-winded. Knowledge of self. So know thyself, know the gods in the universe. I've said to you guys on the last time we spoke up here on your platform, I had the 3 points, right? And the first thing, if you guys remember, was knowledge of self. And I wanted to make that part of our culture a requirement within our culture when we start exemplifying to the younger youth and to men, period, because it's not always the younger youth. As the brother just said, the rest of development, someone could have been incarcerated at 16, come out at 16 after doing 20 years. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then the second point, as you know, Mikey B, was skill sets. I always push skill sets. And the third was managing money. Now, I want to enlighten you guys to something, and I'm going to make this kind of short. The reason that I often speak about the Egyptians and all of this other stuff is because if you look at how America, this corporation, has branded itself, like if you want to study a team and you're on a basketball team, you're going to watch the team on videos, and you're going to really study them, find out who their power player is, find out their plays, the ones they like to do. It's no different here. So look how passionate they are about the art, the comedic science. They actually built their Washington D.C., their capital, based off of certain symbols, That tells you right then and there how dedicated these people are to a science. So when they use certain things, I study them. I say, okay, they're using certain things on us. Let me just go study that and see what they're using. I find out what they're using. Okay, cool. Now they have something called the hatred algorithm, and they're using it on you. It's called the negative algorithm. They're using it on YouTube. If you guys notice, if you do anything positive, you barely got any views. Okay. If you do anything negative, it shoots to your views and everything shoots to the roof. This is behavioral engineering. Okay. So I only say that to be well aware of it, but then it all connects together. Know thyself, know the God. So if you know who you are, then you can actually point out your integrity, point out your principles, things that you've never thought about before, but not consciously. You thought you did, but you didn't, because you didn't really study yourself. So I just say that to be tell you about the YouTube algorithm. And the last thing I want to say, and I'm stuttering because I'm rushing, is the art of mating and the art of courting. We got away from those things. All right. So when you tie all those things in, the weapons they use against us with the spells and the frequencies, and they're doing things to reverse us as a people, to make us say this bitch here. And they even took away, listen, they didn't have to tell you to stop courting your women. They didn't have to tell you stop treating it like a beauty. What did they do? They let you do it by motivating you to do it. They insensitize you doing it. Hey, if this person does this and he says this in a rhyme and it catches on, give him $1 million deal. How well we do that? Jungle Brothers, you're a dub. You nobody's talking like that anymore. Nobody's talking like that anymore, X-Clan. So people are not stupid. They gravitate to what is going to get them the bag. Very simply, they that's where the money's at. This is how it works. This is what I'm going to do. If it takes talking shit about a person, that's what I'm going to do. That's where we at with it. That's all I want to say.
Before we close out, I know we have to leave. KK, the sister princess had a question to the brother Joe Williams, and anybody wants to answer. She said we didn't answer her question. She wanted to know, being that we're using the analogy, the game of chess, and the analogy of life as well. She wants to know, why is it that if the queen is arguably the most important piece on the board, it has such freedom to move around and go where it wants, why is it that it has been denigrated to why has it become the most disrespected piece or person in real life?
So when we think of the history of the transatlantic slave trade, when we think of the Willie Lynch papers, when we think of the system that has been put in place to perpetuate itself, the man, the male, the father, the husband, the king, the protector became the breeder. He would have sex, and they would, based on his physique and how he looked, move him from this plantation, put him somewhere else, and have more babies there, have sex, and move him. So in the lens that was developed, he's replaceable. He's inconsistent. He's not there. The queen, on the other hand, what they realized was how we can move the man around, but there's strong piece remains that is connected to the children. As this strong piece is connected to this children, what the queen experiences, the child, while in the womb, absorbs. If it's fear, how did they produce fear in an unborn child? They would take a pregnant woman or someone else in front of others, stomp the head of the baby, slash this one open. That fear in the mother, in the queen, would automatically be transferred into that child. They realized that although they sparked fear, FEAR, false expectations appearing real, the queen, as a strong piece, still remembered who she was, where she was, who her king was, and was able to part this information to the child. But in order to enforce this disunity of the family, it wasn't just the man that needed to be removed. The queen itself had to be seen as less than a queen. Think of one of our, I love Biggie, I love Kim. Fuck bitches, get money. Fuck niggas, get money. Oh, wow. We're taught and we're told that our queen is not a queen. And therefore, through our lens, we no longer see her as a queen. And therefore, we do not treat her as a queen. What do we see her as? The best cheaters. They gold diggers, they hoes. Can't really trust them because they're going to set you up. These are the lens that society has placed on us so that we don't see the queen in her queenship. Sister Princess, if we call one another niggas, we can't call you a queen because we see one another as niggas, not niggas. We see each other as niggas, as ops, as gangsters, as blood, as crip, as this, but not as a king. And therefore, we can't see you in your queenship. I apologize To every king, every queen, at the sound of my voice, I've hurt, I've taken, I've cheated, I've lied, I've abused, not only physically, emotionally, mentally, financially. I was hurt, and in my hurt, I hurt others. So for those of us who have been hurt, one of the most painfulest things is a heartbreak. And many of us have had our hearts broken at a young age by a woman. Many of us have had mothers who resented our fathers and what they've done. And in that resentment, unknowingly lashed out on us. It developed our lens of a woman in power. And in that, we've learned behavior. All behavior is motivated by something. It's a learned behavior, modeled behavior that we need to unlearn, lead by example, and start modeling better behaviors. So, Sister Princess, I'm sorry. Peace, Queen, I see you. I salute you. That's a fact. Hurt people hurt people. Now let's help to heal people. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, this is profound. Listen, I'm your host, Moshe Canty. Y'all tuned in, man, to We Locked In. Listen, this content that we getting, this is some serious stuff. If you about that healing stuff, don't go to your doctor if you sick. And then don't come to us if you don't want none of this cure either. If you want to get cured of those ills that's plaguing you, tune in to We Locked In, man. I'm here with my co-host KK, Mikey B, Jamel Saladin. He pulled up. And we got our guest speaker, Joseph Williams, who will be with us on Therapy Thursdays.
Make sure tune in next Thursday.
We'll
tell
discuss.
a friend, tell
Before y'all
people.
tap out, let me say some things, bro. I ain't speak all night.
I think it's two Thursdays.
Before y'all tap out,
or 2 Thursdays.
I got some things to say. You heard? I've been listening. I've been posting up all these beautiful things they saying in the comments.
Yeah, so you know I'm gonna I mean I've said enough, but I'll pass it to my brother Mikey B. But first of all, Mikey, I love you. You my brother. I'm glad that you are healthy. Because everybody that's tuned in, we know Mikey was in an accident yesterday. By the grace and mercy of Allah, it wasn't nothing that you know took him away from us, man. He is definitely a strong brother. And we're glad that our brother is safe and sound. I mean, so strong but still human. But I'll pass it to you, Mikey. Love you, bro.
Love you too, bro. You know, it's great. Like I said, it's great to be here. In the condition, you know, I'm a little bit of pain. That's why I haven't, been tuned all the way in. I was doing some stuff earlier with the 17 people killed in building 333 in the Bronx. So I was kind of tired. But let me tell you something. As much as we came through, bro, in our lives, I in the hospital yesterday just reminded me. I forget. Like my wife says, you don't even remember it, but I got a bullet in my chest. You know what I'm saying? I got shot multiple times. Wow. We went through a lot to be here, bro. We went through depths to be here right now. God got a plan for us. Allah got a plan for us. You know what I'm saying? And we out here carrying it out. So, I trust in that. I believe that. Something great that I seen in the chat was I think a brother said he had his children watching his platform. I love all the stuff y'all see. Yeah. Y'all be posting up all y'all stuff in the chat. But that was so powerful for me because this is what we try to deliver. This is like we want for everybody to be in a room where we can teach the kids and everybody can come here and learn a good lesson. And we want it to be like, when you editing these videos on these places on YouTube, it actually says, is this made for children?
Right.
Now, this is not actually made for children, but children can view it. It's no child restrictions on it, and that's how YouTube is a whole. Even though it's not made for a child, then a child can watch it. We want families to be able to come in here and learn something, and we want to be able to help it and build in our community. It's very, very, very strong. That's how we are. That's what we was doing in prison. When we came up out of when we were begging, and when we came out of that lifestyle and came up. and joined the community as a whole and started helping everybody. Our whole mindset was to be able to bring things back to the peoples and give them this information. So that was a powerful message that I seen. It really stuck out to me. I'm a great chess player. I hear all y'all talking all this chess junk. I gotta see some of you guys on the chessboard.
Ain't no
I've been
I
tweeting
keep
7 guards that nobody can beat him.
in my trunk. Understand this? I keep
Listen.
in my trunk.
That nobody can beat him.
I'm the only CEO. Well, my wife's.
I'm looking for 7 guard. He's talking about beating everybody without his chest is clean. And this is what I do.
Listen,
this is the type of work I do.
I am the CEO of Conscious Mind Ventures, and that's that.
Yeah, but just speaking to the facts, it's a great thing. We got all these outlets to be able to talk to our peoples, to give good information and to rebrand ourselves, because I had a gangster brand coming out into the streets, into the world. Everybody knows me, like my family and my friends. When I wrote books and did stuff like that, they said I stole them. They didn't even think I wrote them. That's what kind of name I left in the streets. But it's up to us to build these new brands and show these people exactly how we the change in our lives, because some don't believe it. They hear about stuff that's going on in prison, and what do we hear mainly from prison? We hear war stories. We don't hear about classes that we created. We don't hear about this type of stuff. My brothers on this panel got college in prison, got educated. I went to college. I didn't get a degree, but my brothers got educations. Moshe. We ran classes. We treated prison like a modern day college.
Thank God.
We had classes that we went to every night. I went to a program in the morning where I was learning graphic design and printing, because I had a book printing company. And in the afternoon, I was in the law library. All day, I didn't have no time for the yard. As I matured in prison, and a lot of the younger guys started following our lead. So earlier in their bids, they did a lot better than us, with the hard times in our bids that we did. But, this is the type of content that we strive to give y'all. We want to make this into college. We want to make this like, I see people talking about Kemet, like Egypt, like Ethiopia. They taught the peoples, they brought the information back. We learned it. You know what I'm saying? We taught by greats. Jalil, we bringing you guys that taught us. They gave us books that held us down. Stayed on top of us even when we were in gangs and doing things that were wrong. They never gave up on us. And that's why we're here to do what we're doing now, because they didn't give up. Our families didn't give up. The community didn't give up. I just did a post on my Instagram about everybody that helped me get out. That everybody helped me make a successful transition back to the community. So this is what we have to do. We got to talk about reentry. How are we going to get these guys jobs coming home? What does it look like to be a godfather of a set or a well-known gangbanger doing good things in the community? We showing y'all these examples every day. We all were well-known in gangs. Mel Cross was. Shaquell was. All the guys we bring to this platform, we make sure y'all see that, so y'all have good examples and good inspirations of how you can make that change and what you need to be doing now. And how you can use all of these different, podcasts and Instagram and social media to get your word out, to build your movement, to get support. Let me tell you something, bro. I didn't even expect it, bro. When I came home, I was messing with an organization called the Pro Preparation Project. They came to prison. They came to visit me in states where people's parents wouldn't come to see him at. And they came to see me out of an organization. So if you have people that's incarcerated and they go into parole boards and they keep getting hit, refer them to the Pro Preparation Project out of Manhattan. It's the law office of Michelle L. Lewin. They came there for years. They helped me with my my paperwork presentations, how I spoke at my interviews and things of that nature.
Yo, Mikey, it's crazy. They helped me too.
Oh, they helped you too? Look at that. We didn't even know that. Oh, they helped you too? I had 3 volunteers that came to help me. And that was Addison, Addison and Cameron, respectfully, and Robert Snowden. But they didn't know me. They didn't know what I was about. But they took, they had faith in me and the system and to get me home. And they worked and they got me out here. So now we working to help others get out. And like I said, we leading by example. We showing that. So this is what we should be doing. This is our responsibility. We're not doing nothing this is our responsibility to the community.
Facts.
Like the brother Joe so eloquently said earlier. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We ain't doing nothing great, or we just being our normal selves. We ain't changing up. I try to come to you like I come every day, like I am every day. I'm a case manager. I'm working out here in the community. I love hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. This is just me. I don't want to put on a fake persona. And this is how I try to move everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And this is how I try to be in a community. But, y'all got examples, man. Y'all got great people working out here for y'all and with y'all. Just take advantage of that. Make sure y'all sharing this stuff and making sure y'all linking us up with people, because we want to vibe and we want to connect with people so we can learn something. Most of the time I sat back, I ain't really talk because, this guy up here we got, Joe, is legendary. You know what I'm saying? So I'm listening. I was here. I wasn't on the broadcast, but I was here listening, bro. I heard everything that was going on about chess and about everything else y'all talked about. You know what I mean? And we need that therapy. I heard KK share his story. I appreciate you for that, KK. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that's the powerful thing, man. We need this power. We need to come back and love ourselves. I seen a lot of people say in the chat, I love you. I love my people. There's nothing wrong with that. You're supposed to love your people. You're supposed to love yourself. And like certain words that we use, we have a problem with using these words when they should be used more freely. Because guess what? We just talked about the negative words that are used freely. Bitch, hoe, the N-word, right? So we should use positive, powerful words more freely. Don't be selfish. Somebody said the like button. The like button is free. The love you show to your community, I love you. The love you show, that's free. I don't want to be too long-winded, but I just want to say something about, it was a book I read making my transition back to the community. It was called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And they say everybody you come in contact with, you should give them something. Whether it be a word of advice, a simple, you look good, I love you. Just try to do that every day. And that's going to come back to you. Once you start putting that energy back out, it's going to start coming back to you. So The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, man, great book. Great book. If y'all get your hands on it, it's cheap. I think it's about $7. It might be less as an ebook. Make sure y'all get your hands on it. If y'all into learning and studying, it's a great book to study. It's a great one. It helped me in my life a lot. It helped me make a lot of hard decisions in my life. Like, you have those like forks in the road, and it's like, it helped me on the forks in the road. It helped me go the right way. So use that. But that's all I want to say, man. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I love my people.
We appreciate you too, Mikey B. And with that, we're gonna close out, man. To my co-host KK, Mikey B, to our brother who pulled up, Jamel Saladin, and to our brother Joseph Williams, who we will be seeing twice a month on Therapy Thursdays. I'm your host Moshe Canty, man. On We Locked In, man. Thank y'all for pulling up, man. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Love y'all, man. Love y'all.
Love you.
Have a good night, man. Yo, peace, bro. Salam alaikum, my brother.
Peace to the kings and queens.
Peace.
Wow,
Peace.
Chat.